not only go, but we're live. Hey, Dave. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Daniel. How's it going?
Let's not talk about the world.
We're not doing that. Not on this show. Let's
we're
keep going.
not. We're not talking about the world. Other than like current events, I'm good because I did lots of cool stuff today in coding land.
Coding land.
Just a nice land where I sometimes can go, and it's really nice because stuff generally works, and if it doesn't, then you can just fix it if given enough time and energy.
Given enough time.
Before we do that, we should talk about what this show is called. Because welcome to a show called Waiting for Review, and it's a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts, oh my god, to hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. I'm Daniel, chief procrastinator and lead anti-fascist at Telemetry Deck, and I'm talking to top display owner and interface appreciator, Dave. Join us while waiting for review.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks.
And Dave, you recently kind of booped into me with an idea. Like you wrote a message to me that said, Daniel, what do you think about renaming the podcast?
Yeah,
and
I did.
I wasn't really surprised because Waiting for Review is a name that is very closely related to like Apple or iOS development even. So indie development very closely in the Apple ecosystem. And we're both in that ecosystem, but we're kind of in a higher orbit, right? Where my main business is I'm writing I'm working on analytics, and most of our customers are in the Apple ecosystem. But my job myself is mostly writing front-end JavaScript and back-end server stuff. And then I sometimes work on the SDK, but luckily I also have an incredibly capable freelancer for that as well now. So I'm not as close to the Apple ecosystem as I used to be. And you're kind of the same, right? I mean, you're kind of gearing up to reach escape velocity, to stay with the orbital metaphor, because you want to go multi-platform. You want to explore what it's like to write stuff in Kotlin, or I think
whatever is going to work. Yeah, Kotlin and Compose. Flutter was in there at one point, but it's looking more like Kotlin multi-platform and Compose multi-platform for me. Yeah, it's a good topic, and it's one that I've been, like I say, I've been mulling for a while. We had that conversation maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and on the one hand, I'm loath to change too much. Like the show's been around for so long, since 2017. I've got the domain name. I'm quite attached to, we've got our thing down. Yeah. We have social media accounts, all of that end of stuff, and it's a name that people have come to know. On the other hand, yes, it is incredibly App Store iOS dev specific, and I think we in our course of our conversation about this, I think the thing that I feel like probably tipped the balance for me, as we were sort of discussing this back and forth, and I think I said something along the lines of, I think we're tilting more towards talking more about indie business, indie software business on here.
Entrepreneurship.
I guess so, yes. And it feels like, we dive into bits of the dev here and there, but it's generally all about what the dev is supporting, what we're trying to build out, where it's going. I mean, I'm thinking in these sort of terms these days, in terms of I'm adding features to my app, but I'm getting customer feedback, and I'm kind of running it in that sort of development loop and life cycle kind of mode. I'm less concerned these days about whether, the nuances of whether I'm using specific Apple APIs or whatnot. I'm more concerned about, is my app doing things for its users and that side of things, right? And the sweet spot in Apple dev is probably somewhere in the middle of all of those things. But yeah, considering where I want to go, where I'm trying to take stuff, the name resonates less with me these days. At some point, I hope, in the next year or so, I'll be talking about the Android release of my app or some Android release of things. In another few years, this is a way out. I could even be talking about releasing something for desktop as well, that's off the back of what I've got together. So yeah, I can see our discussions are getting less and less Apple centric, or when they are, I can be quite critical. We've been sort of examining bits of where Apple's been at, the DMA and this, that, and the other in the last few months, across this year, really. And so, yeah, does the name fit? I think is the question.
So the thing is, I still very much enjoy being adjacent to the Apple ecosystem. But you're
Yes.
right. Like it's less about like, oh, which exact case statement or switch statement am I using, and
Yep.
which exact Swift UI API am I using, and more about like, yeah, how am I building my business? How do I make my users reasonably happy, or at least less annoyed?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's less about the fun of just programming in a vacuum, and more about the fun and the ambition of like building something that actually people get to use and enjoy. And
Yeah.
that the programming and the software development is of course a huge part of it, but also like the user interface, the sales, which the marketing, all that kind of stuff. And that's something that we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the idea is out there. Like we don't have a name right now. Like we don't like I
No,
don't
we don't.
know if we really want to pull the trigger or anything.
No.
But I don't know. Like listeners, do you want to pinch in? No, jump in. How do you
Jump
call
in.
that?
Yeah.
Do you want to like do you want to squeeze in maybe? You want
Cut in. Dancing
to
reference.
swipe to Zoom.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, like leave us some feedback on like the usual channels. What do you think? Like also leave like weird and fun name ideas, because I love that. I love
Yeah.
weird name ideas.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I've got a few name ideas that are definitely in the back of my mind, but I don't want to
Yeah,
bias anything.
you shot down like 4 of mine already, which were
Yeah, no.
decidedly weird.
Yeah, we're not doing the rude ones, Daniel. Thank you.
Fine, but also you're the primordial host of this podcast.
I think these
So
days,
you have
Daniel,
veto
it's
power. You have veto power over
oh,
everything anyway. The primordial one.
oh, primordial one. No, no way. It's too much responsibility.
Fine. Then we're co-hosting.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a matrix of leadership situation to throw in a Transformers reference there just cause. I saw Transformers 1 last week and it was awesome.
Oh
So
wow. Does it hold
just
up?
to, yeah.
Does it hold up
Yeah.
as if it's like a high quality deep drama or anything?
uh, it does. The progression of Megatron is awesome to watch play out. So yeah,
I think I've
that's
only seen
cool.
the first one, or maybe the second, but I couldn't even tell you how many there are or what the plot
This
is.
it's an entirely animated one, so it's good. It's fun.
Oh, you're not talking about the Michael Bay movies.
No, not at all. I think his
Oh,
name's in there somewhere, but yeah.
of course, you're
Yeah.
like the old school stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's good fun. Really good fun. But anyway, yeah, we're not renaming to the Matrix of Leadership. That would be a very different
Oh, are we
angle of the
though?
show.
The Matrix
Ooh.
of Leadership.
Oof.
Are we thought leaders now?
No, not at all, Daniel.
I'm a thought leader. I'm such a thought leader.
Oh, I'll have to. I don't know. I was just thinking if we were doing. We often talk about accents at times between me and you and things like that, and so I guess if I was to go back to a full UK English accent, I'd be a thought leader in it, mate. and
Absolutely lovely.
now I've lost everybody who was listening at this point as we've gone off into the weeds. But I think to just circle back round and land where we were at, Daniel. New name for the show, yes or no? Ideas. Definitely want to hear from people.
Yeah. And like if everyone tells us, please do not rename the show because it would be bad, then we will probably not do it.
I don't know. I'm a rebel, Daniel. I might just do it anyway.
That's what I like. That's what I appreciate about you.
Well, Daniel, you were telling me earlier that you've been performing software surgery.
I have been, yeah.
Yeah. What's been going on there?
Like I've been talking for like 5 minutes now that we want to have this show that's like way broad. That's not only about the programming side of things.
I know.
But let me tell you what I did while programming today. So today was a bit of a weird day. I was like in an incredibly bad mood, but I had a situation where I talked to Lisa about the fact that I need to spend more time coding again because like the pendulum has swung all the way to marketing and acquisition and stuff and needs to go back now to the coding. And also the pendulum has also swung towards the servers, which seem to finally like work properly or at least like humming along nicely for now. So I'm like, okay. And so Lisa is like, okay, she's not working in the office. She's working from home. And so I have this nice office. It's quiet. No one is there because like not a lot of people came into the office at all today. And everyone who was there was like super subdued and kept their doors closed. So I was like, okay, I'm going to dive in deep. And just like I'm trying to push the revenue cat integration feature as far as I can go so that I can like bump it off the roadmap because I've been reordering the roadmap again. And I'd like to go to the next few items because those are really cool. But also revenue cat integration is really cool. And also like three quarters done. So I'd really like to get it out of the door so that people can properly enjoy it. So what already is happening is that a few customers are already using the revenue cat integration because you can already do that. It's just like it has a beta sticker on it, as in like it's just you have to go to the documentation and do the things, and then the signals are arriving, but the user interface is not showing you anything. Like so, actually, some people complained like, "Oh, it's not working," but it turns out, at least it actually didn't work for one person, but but for most people, it actually did work. It just like didn't show up, right? And so I thought we already have a section in the user interface that says revenue, where you can send specifically crafted telemetry deck signals to report your revenue, like just like using the telemetry deck SDK. And I thought this is a good point to improve that UI to make this better, and also just like allow people to either display data from telemetry deck or the data from revenue cat. Yeah. So that's exactly what I did. But it turns out one of the features that I really wanted to have was just a list of the most recent sales. And turns out that that is not possible right now because all the queries that telemetry deck supports are queries that aggregate something. So I can tell you like the average, or I can tell you the average number of sales, or I can tell you the number of sales per day or per hour or whatever. So that user interface actually did just show like a number of sales per hour pre today. And yeah, in the end, I was like, okay, it's finally time to write, to add in a support for a scan query. And that's basically the equivalent of, if you write SQL, you would write something like select columns from your table, and then you get list of rows back. And so I did that, and then I also integrated it into so I wrote server code to allow for that kind of query, and then return the correct kind of data, and also like lots of parsing and like refuse that kind of queries, that kind of stuff. And then also I wrote, of course, like code on the front end so that to allow the table component that we already have to display that the results for that. And that was kind of neat. But then it turns out that I also need to display lots of like formatted values because like these are currencies, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, that like the scan query is that one thing, and then the formatting, like rounding and formatting numbers, is the other bane of my existence, because the
Yeah.
problem is that I haven't really found a way to integrate this in a way that is versatile. Because like the main feature of telemetry deck is that you can write your own queries, right? And that you can, like, you have all this freedom in like how you query the data and then it comes back. But that also means that like all the different charts and stuff, they just need to display like all kinds of data. Like, and maybe I'm a bit too extreme in that, because I don't think lots of our customers are actually using the super advanced features. But in theory, I could like load 4 different kinds of data into one chart, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do that, then it's kind of hard to tell the chart like format your stuff this way, because like it's all kinds of different data. Or like let's say I'm comparing number of users versus number of signals versus revenue per day, whatever. Like then like number of users is like differently formatted, because that's a number that should be like have 0 decimal points, where like
Yep.
versus the currency that should be like should have like 2 decimal points and a nice little dollar symbol or a euro symbol or whatever.
Yep.
I finally found a way, but it's only if you program on the user interface right now. And so, because what I did is in the query, and this is just, so this is not available in the user interface yet, but it's already available for when I build a user interface, right? In the
Mm-hmm.
query, I've added various keys that allow me to configure a formatter per aggregation. Aggregations is like one of the like.
I feel like I'm now 3 levels down in your tech stack, Daniel.
Okay, aggregation is basically one line in the chart, right? Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so if I do that, and if I just and the thing that now needs to happen is I need to take that and like pass that piece of information all the way across to the server and back, and
Yeah.
then deep into the components, the stack of components that is our charts, right? Because it needs to, and then inside the charts, down until it reaches the tooltip and the text formatting stuff. Because if I touch all the numbers before that part, like the chart needs numbers to be numbers. It can't be like a string that says 1 2 3 4 5 comma 345 dot 00 whatever. It
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a number so that it can like size the bars and stuff like that, right?
Yeah,
And
it
so
needs
only in
to
the end,
know.
when I display the
Yeah.
number, then I need to format. So I need to carry that formatting information all the way down the stack, and that's what I did. And it felt very much like surgery. Like, okay, I want to pass this along, but I want to have as little side effects as possible. Like I don't want to like destroy everything or have like all these side effects or unintended consequences.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I finally
It's
raised
a
my head, it was
worry when
already
you
dark
end
out.
up having, yeah, when you end up having to get something that's all the way down a stack and pull it all the way back up to the top. That fear is definitely there for me. You're again. I feel like I've set the bar of not talking about code at the start of this show, and now I can't resist it. So let's see where this goes.
Because you're a rebel.
Yeah, but no, it reminds me of as soon as you convert some code to using Swift concurrency, async await, that end of things, it has this sort of like ripple effect through the rest of whatever layer you've built, or it can do at least, because then one function's uh, one function's working in that way, and then all of a sudden, in order to work with it, you've got to either raise a task or bring other functions into the same paradigm. And yeah, before you know it, you've kind of bulldozed all these different layers of the thing you've built, and that worry about side effects is definitely there. So yeah, surgery is probably the right metaphor at this stage, because you absolutely don't want to f anything up on the way through. Um, I've had some similar ones myself recently, which we can, I guess, talk to in a minute. But Where are you now? Has the patient survived, Daniel,
The
through all of
patient
this?
seems to have survived, and actually, I'm kind of like done asterisk with that user interface. Like,
Sweet.
I think I still need to test it thoroughly because I wanna like I think now is one of those like when the pendulum swinging back towards the code. Like I want to also raise code quality, so I don't want like push anything like half-heartedly. And
Mm-hmm.
also, I think I need a few more days to prepare just blog posts and stuff like that, and maybe even ask
Yep.
RevenueCat if they want to mention this on their blog. Um,
Yep.
but I'm like the user. I showed you a screen share of the user interface
Mm-hmm. You did.
earlier before we recorded, and yeah, I'm kind of happy with how it looks. It has
Mm-hmm.
all the information, and like one thing that is still missing is these are apologies, these are hard coded charts, right? Uh, and what I want to do is I want to have some kind of button or menu that says copy this chart into your dashboards and then edit it,
Right. Yep.
because I want to motivate people to use the dashboard feature where you can actually like just like write your own charts. And
Mm-hmm.
so I feel like this would be a nice way to get people started, to be like, hey, look at this chart. You can't edit this chart because I'm like I can't be bothered to I can't be bothered to write a new layout system that allows that kind of advanced layout yet. But you can copy this chart and then you can edit
Yep.
that, and then you have your own dashboard and change everything, like add the like filters and aggregators and stuff like that.
I
And so
like
that's
that.
something that
I
I
like
want to
that. So
do.
you've got a starting point, and then it's a
Right.
yeah. If you want to make this your own, off you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that I want to do before I release this. Also, write a bit of documentation. Yeah, and if I have, no, that's probably. I'm thinking of, could I add another addition to the chart system where I can like just show the previous month in the same chart as the current month and kind of compare them. But I think that's out of scope for this. Like, I kind of want to finish RevenueCat integration so I can go back to the next item on the roadmap, which
Mm-hmm.
actually, which is the next item on the roadmap? I have to look. But still, so yeah,
Yeah.
probably gonna skip that one.
That's fine. Yeah, it's but it's a thing, right? So I'm bringing this back around to business again and that end of stuff, right? Just
Please, please.
to appease that bit of myself that feels like I've set that task. But you there's a few things within what you've just talked about, which is yeah, you've been all the way down in the code in the weeds, several layers down. You've now retrieved this artifact from down there to bring it back for your customers, right? You've got this feature, and you've touched on a couple of things that I think um, are pretty pertinent, which is that part of finishing this task is you're writing a blog post about it. You're going to tell your customers about it, that this thing exists, and you've got that broadcast mode. And we've talked about the pendulum shift and that
Yeah, I
side
even
of
need to.
things
I
as
think I
well.
even need to TikTok about it.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a thing though, right? I've noticed this shift in myself and what I'm doing lately with my app and everything else. And that is that I'm talking about all of this stuff as I build, as I get the features ready. I'm just being that bit more vocal about all of it, because if I think back to maybe a year or two ago, I was building this, putting it together, and then maybe pushing a message to my mailing list. But I certainly wasn't as active on Instagram as I am these days, and I am actually trying to post a little bit more to things like TikTok as well. And I'm doing all of that now, and I'm getting that feedback loop going, and
Yeah,
it
you're
is
doing a fantastic and amazing. Like every other day, I see you just like showing off some kind of new development with cool music and just like with the amazing visuals that GoVJ can actually do. So I love it. Like it's so great. Like keep going,
thank you,
keep
man.
going.
Yeah, and it's useful because I'm getting user feedback as I go, even if it's just people are interacting with and liking things, and it's kind of like yeah, thumb up, sort of and you can look at it and go, oh yeah, it's a bit like looks good to me. on a pull request. But it's not, right? If people don't like something, they don't bother, they just keep scrolling. And um, yeah, it's been very useful for me to have that sort of bit in my process now. It's motivating for a start. You know, you sort of feel like, well, I'm going to let people down if I don't get this thing out the door because I've talked about it. And it has this kind of, for me, it's developing into this sort of flywheel kind of effect, right? It's motivating me, driving me, but it's also a feedback loop where I'm getting this information back from my customers. And I've learned a lot through doing this. And the more I do this, the more I'm learning, the more I'm getting the app sort of tuned to what people want and need. Um, it's it's interesting to me where assumptions I might have made from a very code orientated and dev brain mode then get challenged as well. Like audio reactivity is a feature. So many different things I could do there. Um, I could have a graphic equalizer that you can sort of like filter the sound on the way in, whether or not I have gain controls, decay, all the other bits that I've got on there. I could let people edit and add their own audio monitors into the app. So I want to look at this frequency only and get it all the way down to that. In the end, I've settled somewhere in the middle of all of it because the reality is that most people just want small, medium, large, right?
Right.
As their choices. So at the moment, I've whittled it all the way down to like, okay, you can play with the settings and they'll persist. You can't create your own. So there's the fragmentation that could have occurred there with somebody maybe having several hundred different really specific audio monitors active at the same time. Not a thing. Like the code could still do it. It supports it. Same as you're describing with a lot of your querying and that end of stuff. It's quite flexible. But I've pulled it all the way through to just being fairly simple options. The more I do of that, the feedback seems to be for the better. People just want to get started. They want to play. They want to have a go with stuff. The fact that I want to geek out about this stuff and go, oh, but you could get this really fine grained thing here that could be really fun. A lot of people don't care about. And I guess all of this to say, like, this is me readying for release now as well. And I go into that mode where I'm looking down my laundry list of stuff that I want to do that I've thought in the process when I've been in that what is it? I described it as before, the fugue state of programming where you're sort of completely in the middle of it. My list is important to me in that mode, and then my customers don't give us stuff. They just want to play.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm deleting the things that I kind of are optional right of my list right now. They're important, but there are actually more important things to help the customers now.
That's it. And you don't need to delete those things. Like, you know, I tend to keep my ideas around and everything else. I guess I'm being quite literal here, but like chuck it to the backlog,
No, it's in the
move
backlog,
on.
but you know what
Yeah,
happens with
yeah,
the
yeah.
backlog stays in the backlog.
I know. But do you know sometimes when for me, what happens is I backlog these things and then further down the line, I'll be thinking about something adjacent to it again. And I'm like, oh, and it could do this and this. And then I'm like, sure, I've thought about this before. And I've checked my backlog ideas
That's true.
and I've got, so it still has its uses. But no, I think, like I say, the more that I interact with my customers, the more that I'm putting these little videos out to Instagram and everywhere else, the more I'm learning, the more I'm tuning things in, and yeah, it's a whole thing, and I'm just glad I'm doing this now, and I feel like I perhaps missed out over the years by not going so hard on it all in some ways.
Totally. Like you're like from the outside, it seems like you're on an absolutely different level. You're it's such a joy to see all the stuff that like you are probably working less on the code than you
Mm-hmm.
did half a year ago. But I'm
Yes.
seeing so much more, and I'm seeing what I can do with GoVJ. So it's like damn, I want to use it. Like I don't have a use for it. I really want to use it. So like, yeah, keep doing that. I'm still like thinking, how can I integrate this better?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well,
I don't
that's part
know.
of where things may go over the next year or so, as I sort of round things out. Like this, the app as it is right now is um, it's not, but it's starting to feel quite complete. You know, in
Mm-hmm.
a sense of like, okay, the big problems are kind of solved now. You know, and it's now more just sort of iterative and adding stuff on top.
It's like
Um,
a microwave going like ding.
yes, it's cooked. It's cooked. And yeah, so you'll see more of this as I sort of dial stuff in. I've got ideas of like, okay, how do we adapt this to sort of make it more generally useful as well. But yeah, anyway, customer feedback, getting involved in all of that, putting the message out and that side of things. It feels stupidly obvious to say it out loud, but it's vital, I think, when building something that you're going to put out there. And the trouble that dev mode Dave has, if you like, is that he just wants to work on the code and be in that fugue
Because
state in
that's the
that 3 levels
fun
down
thing.
bit.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but no, and I've got one other bit that sort of links off this actually, Daniel, which is that I have started running ads lately.
Right. Before you talk about ads, though, I have a
Go
question,
on,
and I
go on.
might already have the answer in my heart
Mm-hmm.
because yeah, now that I'm thinking about anyway, like so I was thinking you are doing all that, like you're showing off the user interface for GoVJ so much, and what you're doing is like you're including a lot of like copyrighted music in that, right? Because you're
Yes.
playing music and then VJing over the music. And my question was like, is
Yeah.
there like do you have a, like is that possible basically?
So
Or is there like do you get like releases or stuff like that, or there's this service that I actually do pay for that
no, it's a bit smoke and
has,
mirrors, to
you
be
know,
honest, Daniel. So yeah, when posting to Instagram or TikTok, I can select the music to accompany the post.
right? And that's
And
the answer that popped into my
yeah,
head as I was asking the question,
yeah,
which is like, yeah, you just like don't record it yourself, you just select the music that is like offered
yeah.
by
Well, I do
the
both. I
service.
do both, right? So I'll play the music while I'm recording along my video mix. So I've got that on the video as a microphone input. And it sounds awful because I'm just playing the music on a speaker in my room. So it's not a proper
So
audio
you're like
feed. Yeah.
re-adding the music
Yeah.
basically.
That's right. When I post, I re add the music by selecting the audio for the post. And then Instagram or TikTok will link through the actual artist and it's tagged correctly. Um, and what I do is I adjust the audio so I can hear both and I get it roughly in time and then turn off the original crappy audio from my
You
mic.
smart badger.
But this links with what I was about to talk about with the ads,
Uh-huh.
which is you cannot use that music for an ad because
Mm-hmm.
at that point that's where the service runs out because it would be okay, I'm using, I don't know, insert famous artist's name here for a paid promotion and they don't have that link with me, so
Right.
Instagram or TikTok won't let you do that, and that's fine. And then there's a whole load of royalty free music that they have that they let you run, that they let you use. So for that, with the ad that I've literally just set one up yesterday, so I'm yet to really see a load of information back from it. But I chose one of my videos that the matching of the music didn't matter. So having everything in sync wasn't the thing I needed to worry
Mm-hmm.
about. I chose the ninth birthday compilation video that I put together that runs
Oh,
through
very
people's
nice.
video
Yeah, that's a good
mixes.
one.
Yeah, yeah. And then I chose some royalty free music that roughly sort of matched the tone and went, yeah, let's see what happens. Like this is
Okay.
the other thing about me at the moment, Daniel, is that on some of these things, I'm trying not to think too deeply about it and trying to avoid decision paralysis. So if I'm like, yeah, it's near enough, cool, run and gun, keep going, get that out there, let's see what happens.
Do it.
Um,
Fantastic.
yeah.
So like like just like do you want to look at it now and like tell me what you're seeing? Like, is there like
Uh
do you get installs? Do you get impressions? Do you get like how many
ooh.
hundreds of thousands of New Zealand dollars have you spent?
Oh, let's see. We can do an actual screen share if this wants to work. Give me half a
I mean, you
second.
can, but I don't like if you don't mind sharing your
No,
numbers.
oh no, right. So I'm using Sidecar, and it won't let me use iPhone mirroring. We've encountered this before. That is
Right.
frustrating. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh, that must be so hard not to be able to use iPhone mirroring.
I'm so sorry. You don't have it yet, do you? Oh, Blink wants in geo located blocked features. Damn it. No. So in terms of how they've ran, though, it's early days and I've limited the budget. So it's very much a toe in the water. I'll link stuff up for the show notes, though. See if I'm probably not going to link the ad, but I'll link the video that's being used in the ad so you can see the original. Because I don't want to distort the ad figures in any way. But yeah, the thing that I have noticed is even running it with a very limited budget. Like I've let it go. Okay, you can spend $40 US over the next 5 days, and this is what you're looking for. And it's looking for people who are similar to my existing followers. So I've again not thinking too deeply. I've just
That
used the
was the next
automatic
question.
settings.
How do you select
Yeah,
target
yeah.
audience?
You can niche down, right? You can go, okay, people who are interested in this, and this, and create a cohort and say, okay, you're going to go and advertise to that. And I looked at that and then came all the way back up and went, no, let's just let it do its automatic thing and see what that brings back. So at the moment, I've just ticked the box to say, find me more people like the people who already follow me.
Nice.
And yeah, 24 hours in, and I've got a few new followers, and I've had a load of interactions. I think I've spent about $2 of my budget.
What's
So
the target or the goal of the campaign? Like, is it app
that is
installs?
the
Is it
goal.
like,
The
or is it like
followers and
followers?
profile interactions at this stage for that
All right.
campaign.
So just like grow the
So
audience, basically.
yes, yes, and actually, that's probably I feel sort of intuitively right now. I feel like that is what I should be gunning for with this, because those people will see more of the content I'm putting out. There may be more interactions, more sharing from that. It'll boost those pieces of content through the algorithm as well.
Yeah, and that
So there's a
fits
bit
very
of
well
a
with just your kind of app, right? Because you're such a
mhm.
visual and like audio visual app, really. You
Yep.
have. And so, yeah, that seems like a very smart strategy.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to run that, like I say, for the next few days, see what that turns out. Uh, I also think this time round, when I release this version of the app, I'm going to put together a video, of course. I will post to my mailing list as always. And actually, I might run an ad campaign for this
Uh-huh.
version of the app.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But it sort of feels like uh, at this stage, I've got some revenue coming through from existing users. So I'm in a nice position. A bootstrapped approach to this is to then feed that money back into growing the app. And that's something I've not been doing very actively. So this is what I'm looking at now, as well as can I use that to signal boost, gain more customers, and it's a little bit limited at this stage, right? Because I think I could put all of that money back in and probably not see an immediate. It's not going to just make money by throwing money at this
No, but
stage.
you got to make it into a business. You know, the fun
Yeah.
times are over. It's about business now.
Mm-hmm.
It's business
Exactly.
time.
Business time. And yeah, I'm experimenting with this stuff. So we'll talk about it more, I guess, in future shows where I've got a bit to show about
Yeah.
it. But
Fantastic.
again, another point for audience interaction, though, here is for listeners of the show that have got this far. If you've got any experience working with things like Instagram ads and that side of things, I'd actually love to hear from you. So tag me on the Mastodons, comment on the YouTube video, find the Discord channel that we've got linked in the show notes, and come and say hello. Any of those things. If you're like, yeah, I ran Instagram ads and this was my experience, I'm right in that zone right now. So please reach out. Any advice and help is appreciated.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate about you. I've been rewatching Letterkenny.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was thinking more like Ted Lasso. Yeah.
With that too, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but like, please, like, I'm super into the idea, and I resolve hereby too. Like, I'm writing this down. Like, I just bumped off a few things off into the backlog, so I'm allowed to add a new to do, which is one TikTok about chart features.
Hey.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Focus. I want to hear about what it lets you do.
Right.
Like, yeah. Sorry, turning into manager mode again and giving you tasks, as is my want.
No, I gave the task to myself though. That feels way better. But yeah, like it is like we've been revamping the website a lot, and like most of the work has been done by Lisa, and she's done a absolute fantastic job. So basically, I'm just building I just built a CMS or a like CMS integration, and then like she has been doing all the content, and our fantastic content writer Marina, and like, and so much is about showing what this thing actually can do, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also like that's always been my goal with this website. But I can only show developers how it works. Like that's always my kind of focus, and like and so like we're adding some different perspective into that as well now, and that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
But yeah, like I think that needs to be the goal, like going forward, to do that on different social media as well. And actually, awesome. Lisa, my co-founder, has been listening to this show, and so every now and then she's like recently she sent me a TikTok link, and I'm like, wait, that's a TikTok about the new feature that we just released, or that's a TikTok about the new Orbiter survey release where we just like show you like what's the market share of various Apple and non-Apple platforms. And like she just made a TikTok about it, like low effort, but actually really cool. And like when she was like, yeah, I listened to the show and you said you do this, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do this.
Brilliant. Well, there's again that low effort, just talk about it, just get going. It definitely resonates. Like I said earlier, I'm my phrase is sort of become run and gun, just shoot it, just get it out there. I mean, we've had this. You've spotted things on some of my videos and posted me like, Dave, you could tweak that, make that better. And every time I'm like, yeah, next time I'll make that better. But I don't feel any need to go back and edit stuff or that.
Oh no, you should never edit.
Just keep moving. Just keep.
But if
moving.
You're taking one piece of criticism, if there's any way that you can easily highlight where you're tapping while using the app, that would be really helpful, because then my eyes can even like follow even better, understand better, like the video just like arrives in my brain even better, you know?
No, that I hear you, Daniel, and I feel like I need a demo mode maybe where the taps are actually expressed on the app, so I can just record it. I have been thinking about something like that, because if I screen record while I'm using the app, it's not always obvious what's actually being affected and twiddled with, for want of a better phrase. Twiddled, yes. So yes, I shall give that a bit of thought.
But give it a bit of a twiddling.
Anyway, before I end up with twiddle mode on my whiteboard as a task, Daniel, I'm feeling
Like the iPhone has jiggle mode, but our
we
apps
have
have
twiddle
twiddle mode.
Yeah. Before you know it, I've got Twiddle Kit as a new GitHub repository. No, I'm sure there'll be a library for highlighting touches I could bring in and maybe just add as a dev mode. But
if
no,
you're screen recording on, like, are you screen recording on your phone?
yeah,
Or on the Mac? Ah, okay, because on the Mac
on
there's
my phone.
already stuff like, right, okay. On the
Yeah,
phone, that's probably
yeah.
harder.
But
yeah,
yeah,
like try it out. And in the meantime, I think I have to go soon.
mm-hmm.
And like do some TikToks maybe. But in the meantime, I want to say, no, actually, I don't. I want to say, I was going to say good night. No, I'm like, I'm not
It's good
committing
morning,
to
mate.
any more. I'm not committing to any more work. I was like, oh, I'm gonna make a TikTok right now. And I'm not. No, I'm not. It's my end of the. Did you know that Germans have a word for the happy feeling after a workday? Like, it's called
No,
Feierabend. It means literally means like party evening, or like
okay,
festivity evening, but it's not
yeah.
necessarily an actual festivity. There's no like party or anything. It's just like
Oh,
the
I'm disappointed then.
feeling to that you're like putting down your pen and getting up, and then your coworkers are all like, have a nice Feierabend, and
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yes, I'm free now, and so it's my Feierabend.
Awesome. Oh, I like that. I love that phrase.
Yeah.
I'm at the beginning of the day as usual, so I've got a full day of work and everything else ahead of me, Daniel. But let's close out the show.
Let's indeed. Thanks everyone so much for listening. Please do rate us on iTunes and YouTube, and send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com. Also, like, write your comments down into the Discord, especially about our possible rename, and
Mm-hmm.
join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. Dave, where can people find you online?
Oh, I'm going to reference Instagram. Talked about it all the way through the show, as we often do. So, on Instagram, my username there for my apps is lightbeamapps.com. That's with .com's just spelled .com on the end. How about yourself, Daniel?
Smart. Yeah, I think I want to like gain some more followers on Threads. Like, I've been
Ooh.
trying to be on both Blue Sky and Threads in addition to Mastodon,
Mm-hmm.
and like nothing. I don't know. Like I'm not really gaining traction on either. Like, even like I can't even find my friends really. So if you are my friend, or if you want to be my friend, or if you just like what I'm saying, follow me on Threads. My username is like my original username back from like thousands of years ago. So it's Winsmith, WINSMITH, Win Smith.
Oh,
After Winston
cute.
Smith, the protagonist of 1984, because I used to be a very edgy teenager. And it's hard to change these names.
Brilliant.
All right. So follow us on the socials, and yeah, have a fantastic workday. And then after your fantastic workday, I hope you have a fantastic Feierabend, Dave.
Feierabend. Thank you.
Feierabend.
I look forward. Feierabend. Awesome. Well,
right.
Catch you then, and enjoy yours, Daniel. And I'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. Bye.